There you go. Now we are open to the public.
We accidentally practiced, everyone.
I know. I think I don't even know if we were on private, so I think maybe everyone was watching us go. I think we need to practice. How are you, Isabella?
I'm good. Can you see me okay? Because I
Yeah,
realized Instagram
perfectly.
slightly cut me off.
No, we can
Yeah.
see you perfectly.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy that you are on our little Instagram live. Really, really grateful. This is someone I've been wanting to interview a lot because I have spoken to Isabella a lot normally, but just to put it in Instagram live is really great. So thank you so much. Before we begin, I do want to just say, and I don't know if you remember this, but I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. And we went for dinner once at the Riding House Cafe, great spot. And I told you about this like concept that I had, and you said to me, you know, Olivia, you should name it "Getting to the Point" with an E, ballet pun.
I do love a pun.
So this name is by you. So credit given where credit is due.
Well, look, I'm really happy it's going well for you, and it seems to be, building a lot of traction. Everyone's loving it, and I think it's really fantastic. So just keep going. I love it.
Oh, thanks, Isabella. Thank you. So just to introduce you to anyone who's new, Isabella is an inspiration to so many dancers. You've started a community where you're constantly updating and improving, which you're constantly updating and improving in order to help other dancers. Ballet with Isabella is a growing brand which has a website, a podcast, YouTube channel, TikTok, and a very popular Instagram page. Behind
Oh,
this, we have the beautiful Isabella.
oh, thank you. That introduction made me blush.
So you are constantly interviewing the most amazing dancers, which people can see on your podcast, which is give it a listen, guys. It's very inspirational.
A dancer's
I thought it was
mindset.
absolutely necessary that we interviewed you for once.
Yes, not everyone.
Um,
I don't really get interviewed very much.
no, well, it's necessary. Believe me, we want to know. So you have Ballet with Isabella, and when did this come about, and what is your goal for this community?
Oh gosh. Yeah, so this came about basically in the lockdown. I was just kind of, we're all locked indoors, and I was already teaching at that point, um, before the lockdown hit, but not a lot, just now and then. I had a handful of students that I saw regularly, and then and I had a small community of adult dancers as well. And then the lockdown happened, and I was like, I don't know, I panicked massively because I'm a bit of an anxious person. So I was like, I can't possibly just sit here for months. And I was like, sharing with my boyfriend, and I was like, I've got rent to pay, like I've got to do something.
And I'm sure he was also like, just do something.
Yeah, he was like, leave me
Stop
alone.
bugging me.
So I just went online on Zoom, and we had like, it was amazing. We had like 40 women, um, between 30 to 40 women every morning. We also did the Free Friday thing. And yeah, we'd had this like growing community, and I was like doing ballet like in a kitchen. And so it was like, initially I was just like, yeah, we'll do it today, we'll do it tomorrow. And then it became like, okay, let's book for the week. And then it was like, okay, let's plan for the month. And then I just sort of was like, you know what, I really love this. And then I decided during the lockdown to come up with the idea balletwithisabella.com, and what I wanted to offer, what I wanted to help people with. Yeah, and it's been, I mean, it's been a huge learning curve because obviously I've been a dancer my whole life. So going into, the business side of things and building a brand is like completely different. But no, I have, to answer your other question, I have just huge ambitions for Ballet with Isabella. I'm actually, yeah, building a brand new platform at the moment. So that'll come out in the summer, guys, which is going to be amazing. So basically, yeah, I want people to realize like, that they can get all the answers they want, and they can get what they need. And sometimes they need something outside of their usual environment, be it the drop-in classes they go to or their ballet school, and they need somewhere to go that like helps them with what they need, that they're just not getting completely where they are, and they need that extra support. And I'm just hoping, you know, from what I've learned from Vaganova and everywhere, that I can be that source for people. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That is beautiful. So you just mentioned now you went to the Vaganova, which
Yes,
I'm.
if you didn't
Oh,
know already.
yeah. Did anybody not see the
I
what
don't think I
advertised
mentioned it.
this?
I don't think I mentioned it today.
What drew? So before I say this, I asked, put out a thing on my Instagram page asking questions if anybody wanted anything specifically asked. And then I just have put this into the interview sort of sequence. So some questions might not get asked, for those of you that did ask, but Isabella does regular Q&As. So if your question doesn't get asked, head over. But what drew you to the Russian style of dancing above any other style?
Yeah, really great question. To be honest, I was always drawn to Russian dancers. I think it was just how they express themselves. I just found I was just watching them on YouTube. You know, we didn't have social media or anything at that point when I was that young. And so I always used to watch like Altanisia Muratova, Diana Vishneva, and was just like transfixed by them. And then I was initially just doing like, you know, RAD, and I was just in a Saturday school. And then I was introduced to this Russian coach. And I, she was like slapping my feet, and she made me cry in the first lesson. I was like 10. And I was like, oh God, I never want to do that again. I never want to do it again. And then I was like, and then like a week later, I was like, I actually want to see her again. I actually want to do it again. And my mum was like, okay, should I be concerned? But I just kind of fell in love with the hard work. And I was kind of like, oh, surely this is like real ballet, where I'm like pushed to my limits and like, you know, pushed beyond my expectations. And it's like a real test. I'm like 10 years old, but I was already like, this is a real test of like what I can almost like put up with, like how much grit I have as a human being. Yeah, so it was kind of like the hard work and the beauty of it. And then obviously I got into the whole Vaganova exams thing, and I was watching them day in, day out. And I was just like, how is it possible for dancers to be that beautiful and that amazing? And so I was just like looking around. I said, I don't think no one inspires me as much as these people. So I was very drawn at that point to the Russian style.
Oh, that's nice. I want to also say to you, I just thought of a memory. My mum, so I take class with Isabella as much as I possibly can.
She does.
My mum said like the same thing when I was young. I used to say, oh, you know, I just really want a Russian teacher to yell at me. Like, and she's like, well, you got what you asked for.
Yeah,
Like,
you do. Somewhere in between, somewhere in between.
literally. So you went to the Vaganova, which again, if anyone wants to hear more about, head over to Isabella's YouTube channel. You do have, I've literally been watching your YouTube, so you do have things there
Lots,
about
lots
your
of stories. Lots of
experience.
stories. Yeah.
I would like to know, well, also the questions, would like to know what you did after that. So one of the questions were, there are so many dancers auditioning at the moment. Would you be able to tell us about your auditioning period after the Vaganova?
Yeah, well, okay. This is where I had a bit of an advantage, if I'm honest, because obviously, like, um, when you're in the Vaganova, well, yes and no. When you're in the Vaganova school, obviously you get quite addicted to Russia in general and just the Vaganova technique. And it's weird. It almost feels like there's nowhere else to go. Like there's nowhere else that can match this. Like it's quite a strange experience. You sort of grow out of that the more you sort of leave the nest. But basically, um, all I ever wanted to do was like go to Marinsky. And so, and my friend Keenan Camper, who was a year above me, she was the same, and I very much looked up to her. She was a bit like a sister to me, and so I watched her go to initially Boston Ballet, and then she came back and went to Marinsky, and so I was, you know, really set on the Marinsky thing. So when it came down to it, for whatever reason, I won't go into that now, that didn't happen, and my teacher was really upset about that. But then I ended up going to the Mikhailovsky ballet. So basically in Russia, what happens is because you're in this prestigious school like the Harvard of ballet, like the directors come and watch you. So directors of the Mikhailovsky, the Mariinsky, Russian companies. So not European, because obviously, yeah, Russian companies come and watch. And so it's likely because you're in that school, because you've reached the graduation year, because you're at a really high level, one of those places is going to offer you a job. And so it was very rare that people would have to like go far outside of that. Like they'd at least get a corps de ballet contract somewhere. So that was really the initial audition process for me. And so at that point in my life, I didn't want to leave Russia. So that worked out for me. But there is two processes to it. So they come and watch you in the graduation exam. And sometimes they watch the year before the graduation exam as well to sort of see who they like leading up to the graduation year. And then they sort of say, oh yeah, I like that one, but I want to see her in the Mariinsky audition. And then there's a Mariinsky audition or a Mikhailovsky audition, and you go and do another audition. And so there's basically like 2 rounds.
And that's all at the Vaganova, that they come and watch that.
So they watch the exam, and then you go to the company to do the actual audition. Yeah. But I didn't have to go through the sort of traipsing around Europe situation.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever make a video?
No, I didn't need to, because I had my graduation exam video, so I just sent that.
Relieving, my God.
Yeah, I mean, further down the line, like obviously when that's come and gone, you can't really send that anymore. It gets old, so you got to, you got to make it again. Yeah, but at the time, that's like, in my prime, I'll send that.
Of course, as one would. Then another question which I found really interesting was, what is the importance of networking whilst auditioning / how to do it?
Networking, yeah. I mean, do you mean with other dancers?
Like, so, I mean, I just had a coffee now with a friend and we discussed this as well. Like, do you think it's possible to get into a company without having, knowing somebody or, networking, like somebody saying, oh, come over, to that sort of a thing? And how does one go about it? Because often people are a bit shy to, like, put themselves so forward out there. And then they suffer the consequences of that. So do you think that's necessary, or do you think that that's, like, what are your thoughts on networking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the only way, but I think networking is a fantastic skill to have. And I think obviously, it's harder for some people because not everybody has that type of personality, that sort of like go-getter personality. Like, hi, who are you? Hi, I'm Isabella. Lovely to meet you. Like, not everyone has that. But like, I think it's very useful for, let's say, people who are a bit older and beyond the age of just coming out of school. Because when you're just coming out of school, like, you're very green, you're very fresh. So it's like, of course you haven't grown up yet, you're super shy. So when you're put into a company scenario, like the directors watching, like they know that. So, they're really going off of your skill and your artistry and what you're about. And that's a perfect way to go about it. And fingers crossed it goes well. A lot of it also is about timing and just a little bit of luck, basically. But I would say as you get older, and let's say you're transitioning from company to company, or let's say you've had a bit of a break and you want to go back into a company, networking is a huge advantage then, because it's like, okay, I'm 27, I've been out of the game for a year because of whatever reason, I want to change companies. Who do I know? Okay, I know that person, so I'm just going to go and take class with the company, and then say, oh, do you mind taking a look at me? I'm quite interested in this company. And then they'll go, oh, I don't have any contracts right now. I'll go, okay, but if you ever need me for a production, maybe feel free to get in touch. I know people who have had that happen to them. Like, they have nothing available, and they're like, oh, just feel free to like get in touch when you need me to be a part of a production. They wouldn't hear from them for months, and then all of a sudden they get an email saying, can you come down? Here's a 6-month contract, off you go. Wow. So it is, I think, as you get older and you find out who you are a little bit, be bold, be brave, and you know, go after what you want basically, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, because we always grow when we are out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, oh, that's so true. But I was just having a coffee now with someone, and we were discussing networking and stuff, and we also said the same thing. Like, it's important to network, of course, and like, you know, put yourself out there and stuff like that. But it's also, networking isn't using. You know, you don't use people to try and get further. Like,
I mean, I'm sure that does happen.
oh, in every industry.
Yeah, I'm sure that does happen, but I think as long as it comes from a genuine place, like I genuinely love meeting new people and getting to know them. But it's funny. I won't say who this is because it's too they're too public. But I um I met someone relatively recently, and they're very well known, and so they and they I met them, and they were so convinced that I wanted something from them, because they're so used to people just
Uh,
only wanting something from them, you know. And it's like they were just like, so what do you want? And I was like, I don't want anything. I just want to just happy to be here. Hi, nice to meet you.
they must be like, but
um, it's not a dancer, by the way, because that it's just like some organization. So I just yeah, it was just quite sad in a way, because it was just like,
yeah,
oh, you know. But it does happen, and I think people need to just do it from a genuine place, and just, you know, always be humble, always be nice and kind and honest. Like, you know, I think there's a it's funny because people who make it often people who make it, it can seem like, oh, it's only the people who are sort of a bit cutthroat that make it, who are, you know, a bit nasty. Um, but I say, you know, stand your ground. Like, that's not true at all. Like, you can still be a nice, humble, amazing human being and make it in whichever field you're doing. And I say, like, you know, screw that and just be yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I like that because it is. My old teacher used to say something like, a saying like "walk on dead bodies." He didn't tell us to walk on dead bodies. It's not what it is, but it's a saying like there's a certain person that like will walk on dead bodies to get what they want. And I remember saying to my mum, "Oh, I can't do that. There's no ways." But there are some people that will, you know, rough and tough, and you sometimes feel like you have to also be a rough and tough person, but you don't, as Isabella just said.
Yeah, but it's difficult though, especially when you're young and you're surrounded by people who are that way, and you can get very upset and very disparaged by, like, you know, well, you know, they're just a lot tougher. They seem sort of tougher than you. It's like, no, you're sensitive. You're more sensitive. You're more like emotional. You're kinder. You're more empathetic. These are all amazing traits to have as an artist. So, you know, don't worry about that and just be yourself, as I said before. Yeah.
Nice. So after your audition, well, yeah, not really. Like you did audition, it is auditioning. It's just a different way of auditioning than what like
Yeah.
I do. After this, you became a teacher. Am I right? So it was you went from Russia, and then you went to lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a period between coming back and lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you became a teacher, which I benefit greatly from. So I got a few questions based on your teaching, which I thought was quite lovely.
Gosh,
Um,
okay.
So, well, this question is pretty much the same thing as before, but like, what made you go into teaching? So you mentioned it was like lockdown and all that, but then why did you carry it on after that?
Yeah. Why did you carry on? Um, I don't know. It's, to be honest, like, it's one of those things that I didn't decide for a long time, because obviously it sort of just happened. Like, I came back from Russia, and I was a bit in a bit of a point where I was like, okay, I don't really know what I'm going to do now. I don't really know what I'm doing. Um, hmm. And I was like, okay. So I did a lot of freelance work, because I mean, this is a sort of story I'm going to share much later, I think. But I think I sort of stumbled across the teaching, and was just doing it as a sort of side thing, and was really enjoying it, and found that I was actually quite good at it, and was helping these people and also inspiring them, and was like, oh, this is, you know, made me feel really good. And so when the lockdown happened and I started doing it more, what happened was it was just doing so well that I thought, well, this would be crazy to just kind of drop it. And
Your online classes, you meaning? Like,
yeah. So I was like Zooming, I don't know, from like I was driving everyone mad. I was Zooming from like 9 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night in like this tiny room. And for ages, I couldn't work out. For ages, I was sharing with two musicians, so I'm blaming them. But like, they never told me that you can actually attach your headphones to the Zoom call. So I was playing my music for like 12 hours on a speaker, and it was like tinkety tink ti tink ti ting ti ting plonkety plonk plonk plonk.
yeah.
Um,
As my
and I
sister
was
calls
like,
it, plonky Russian music.
yeah, imagine that for 12 hours. And then me going, ba-dum, ba-dum.
Yeah. And
Um,
stretch.
yeah. So eventually, I worked out you can actually put your headphones in. And so it was much better. But yeah, I just fell in love with it. Not exactly, I mean, I was a bit over the Zoom after a while, so I can't do this again for that long.
Yeah.
I was losing my eyesight. But and then I came up with the website, and so I thought I just had something quite special here. So I was just like, I've got to continue this, and I thought I'm just going to run with it, and realize that everything you do takes hard work. I will say though that it, it's hard because for a while I still identified myself as still someone who might go back into a company at some point. So I was kind of like dabbling between the two. And so I only found that when I like fully commit myself to something, so it was like that was just both things were like going okay, but it's like if I wanted one thing to do really well and start to do really well, then I have to fully dedicate my life to it, like I did my life to getting into a company. So that's when things started to really
Mm.
do better on that front. Is when I just decided, right, you know what, that's what I'm doing. That's who I am now. This is what I'm doing.
And putting full energy into that. Like,
Yeah, full energy. Yeah.
good. So the next question I found quite funny because I feel, yeah, it's, you can choose not to answer it if it's a little bit too much. But what is your least favorite trait in a student?
Oh, oh goodness me.
She's like, I thought it, but I don't know if I should say it.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think it's the students who I don't know, you can get this sometimes in teenagers. I haven't had it very much, but it's sort of the ones who anyone who's disrespectful, just basically anyone who's disrespectful of what we're doing together in the studio. I hate disrespect. Like I will even just say I'm not doing this anymore if I find that there's a lack of respect
Mm.
between each other. I mean, I definitely like to be on a level with my students. Like it's like there's a proper like
Yeah.
coach and student relationship. Like I'm not. It's not like I'm up here and you're down here. Like I like to be on the same page. I mean, I feel like that. But like equally, there's definite respect for one another. And so when that's broken, I mean, it's kind of like a relationship in a way.
Yeah. Well, it
When
is.
that's yeah, I mean, when that's broken, it just doesn't work. So yeah, that would be the key thing that I think has to be with every student. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm answering that one as well. I can't stand it when they say, how many? And then you say 32. And then they, oh. And it
Yeah.
is.
Oh yeah, see, I don't do the babies.
And they don't hide it, like the older they get, people just like go like, and then the babies are like, no.
No, it's funny when they're teenagers and they go 32 and they go they sort of go
Uh,
okay.
or like
Yeah.
on rice.
On rice, yeah. I'm like, well, of course.
The next question was very interesting. It says, what advice would you give a student coming back from an injury? Which I am at the moment, so I'm listening carefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really, really hard when you come back from injury. I think I've spoken about this on my podcast as well at some point. But I mean, I've had my fair share coming back from injury. I think the first thing is like acceptance, because obviously you can just feel this like overwhelming, like, oh God, I'm going to miss so much. Oh God, everyone's doing this, everyone's doing that. Like, first things first, just accept it. Like, okay, I've got this injury. I'm going to need 3 to 6 months off. Fine. And then it's like, okay, this has happened to me. How can I use this to my advantage now? What can I get out of this that's going to help me get better? You know, and sometimes it's funny, like I always got better after an injury, and it got to the point where I actually really was enjoying my rehab, because it was like, it was really getting me places. It was like I took the time out, but I ended up working harder, because it was like I was working on all my limitations, so that when I went back, then things were easier and much better once you get over that first hurdle of, oh gosh, I'm doing ballet again. So I would say really see it as a positive thing, and you know, strategize really well, plan your rehab really well. I was very planned, like every day would do specific things, and it always pays off, the hard work you put in. So an injury doesn't have to be sit on the sofa for 8 months. You know, it's like an injury can be the time to really hone things in that have been holding you back, but you haven't had time to improve on, because you've just had to be doing ballet class all the time. And you can improve so much and not even be doing a ballet class. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, eventually, like, we need to be doing ballet class, but it's like I improved so much and understood my body so much more. So when I went back, and like I say, got over the first hurdle of, you know, doing these ballet exercises again, then all my hard work of the last 6 to 8 months then came to fruition. And then I was doing just so much better. And my teacher, I remember, I like hadn't done pointe for like 6 months, but because of my body was so strong, I was like doing all these turns, and she was like, she's been off for 8 months, everyone.
I'm sure everyone loved you.
They hated me. So it was just like, yeah, so enjoy the process, because you know, you don't go through that often, and it's like a really prime opportunity to get better. Yeah.
I mean, everyone always says like injuries make you stronger, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's true.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're not going to make yourself stronger. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to the point, me, like, you can't sit around and get stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work, but yeah, you have full capabilities of getting loads stronger if you just put the work in. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, then.
So get to work, Olivia.
Yeah, I'm like, well, after this, I'm not gonna watch TV. This question is a little bit tricky. Would you be able to make a professional dancer out of a beginner? I think that's the important thing. Out of a beginner who comes to you at 18 years old.
Oh gosh, I mean, that depends on a lot of things, like their body type, their work ethic, the amount of time they can give to it, how many hours they can give to it, how much they do behind the scenes, the teachers they've chosen, all these things.
It's not so blindly. No, like there's a lot more.
It's not a yes. It's not a yes. It's not a no. It depends on a huge amount of factors. Like, I think at that point, if you're 18, and you want to be professional, I think, and let's say they've never done ballet, I think there has to be like a huge amount of advantages to how they're already built for that to work, because that's late.
Yeah.
To become a professional, like, you know, it takes nearly 10 years. So in order to sort of condense that into like 3 or 4, obviously there are some really successful dancers that have started at 13 or 15, and that's already quite late. But you know, I interviewed Misty Copeland, and she started at 15 and, you know, did really well. But again, she was really talented and really naturally gifted. So I think for that even to be a possibility, there has to be a big degree of that, like, natural gifts. But I don't want to say it's impossible, because, you know, I don't believe nothing. I don't believe that wait, what am I trying to say? Anything is possible. So I'm not going to say no, especially if there's someone out there who's like 18 and
Yeah,
is hugely gifted and just has that dream. It's like if all the ingredients to this cake are like lined up well, we've got all of them,
yeah,
then who am I to say no, you know?
yeah. I think, yeah, you're right. Like, don't give up before you've even started. Like, you
Yeah.
maybe you're one of them that can do it. What is something you can't teach a student?
Desire to dance. Desire. Um, in the Russian language, they say желание, like that. And I think, like, my teacher used to always say, like she has, you know, like she, not just to me, but to someone
Yeah.
else, like they would say, my teacher was very brutally honest, and she would be like, she doesn't have the body, she doesn't have the feet, and she'd be standing right there. And
Oh,
then, but then she'd be like, but she has
I,
the desire. She has the desire to dance. But this was all a compliment, by the way, because she was like, she's doing really well
hmm,
because she has the desire. And so, and then she would like point to someone else who's got the body, got the feet, got the hyperextension, and she'd be like, you've got everything, but like you're falling behind because
there's
you don't
no.
want it, there's no desire, you don't want it enough, you know. And so someone who desperately wants it, they will do anything to make it work. And so, and you can't teach that. you
Yeah.
can't you can't give someone that kind of determination and grit. That along with I think they sort of tie together, but desire and you know, passion for it. Yeah, I mean, these are all emotive things. You
Yeah.
can't, you know, yeah, you can teach technique, but you can't teach someone actually wanting to do it.
I was just about to say, like, it's interesting you chose like two characteristics rather
Mm.
than 12 feet. You know, it's like more to it.
Yeah, I mean, ballet is so difficult. Ballet is, you know, so demanding on the body, but also the mind. Hence, everything, you know, I do for you for them all. But it's kind of like, um, if you don't want it, like if you don't have that desire to really do it, especially to a professional level, it just isn't good. It just won't happen. It
Mhm.
just won't, like, because yeah, it's too difficult and it's too competitive. Yeah. So you have to have the passion for it.
Yeah. So you are, I would say, the queen of like catching
Oh,
up. Um, you know, putting in the work to not catching up, that sounds terrible, but like putting in the work to get not only catch up but succeed completely. What advice would you give a student who's doing the same thing, trying to, you know, catch up to the level that they're at, like like you did with the girls at the Vaganova, to catch up without avoiding burnout?
yeah. I mean, I always loved, I always took a rest and things like that, you know, super seriously. So even when I was at Vaganova and I would be practicing every night, a lot of nights, it got to 8:30, I would leave the studio. Like, I don't care if I've got other stuff I wanted to do, that's it. Like, that is the cutoff for me. I have a big day tomorrow. My teacher's
Mm.
expecting me to turn up and do well. If I turn up tired, then she is going to absolutely annihilate me. So I just thought, you know, I took, even though I did everything I could to get better, you know, the practicing, the stretching, the conditioning, because, you know, I had a really difficult body to deal with. Like, it was really um, long. I'm 5'10". Like, when I lift my leg, it's really far away. The muscles are long, they have to be much stronger. Like, even just, it's just how, you know, keeping like the joint, like it has a lot to hold, you know.
Yeah.
So like the, you know, the muscles have to be much stronger than a smaller person. um so I had a lot of work to do, a lot of catching up to do, a lot of work to do to get over my growth spur, which, you know, really was a slow process. And I always sympathize with the dancers who are growing and they're like, oh, I can't do anything. Yeah, it's really difficult. But my advice would be just to kind of never work so much that you burn yourself out. But it's like, I would just make a decision. I made a decision to myself that I would try my best. And so it was like, I also made a decision that I would practice every day or most days, and stretch at night. I made a decision to do that. So it's like, no matter what, I would do that, you know, every day or most days in the week. And I always gave myself one day off a week. So off of everything, mind, body. I would go and get a massage and go to a spa, and I would just have like the whole day to look after myself. And I would eat anything I wanted. I would eat pizza. And yeah, and that kind of kept me sane, because it was like I was trying so hard every day, every week, to catch up, to be good, to be the best. And it's like I had to give myself that switch off time, because if that continues day in, day out, and there's never any break, I knew that my motivation would like lack as well. I would lose motivation, I would lose desire, because it's like, when is the switch off time? When is the sort of, when can I fill my glass back up? I need to, like, you know, recharge. So it's important to do that so that you can have long lasting, you know, long lasting results and a long lasting routine towards the success that you want.
Yeah, for it to be sustainable, like.
Yeah, exactly. Sustainable. Yeah.
Isabella, I just want to say, I have noticed, like, I mean, even just from us knowing each other and from this conversation, you're very good at like deciding, and then that's the decision. Like, and it's like, I'm like always like, oh, maybe, I don't know, like, I'll see how I feel. And you're like, decision made. Like, it's quite.
Yeah, but even even
Something
when
I need to practice.
yeah, no, sometimes it takes me a while to make a decision, but I don't know. It's also, I think this helps me though. Like, even when I just remember when I was practicing, obviously I had a bit of a perfectionist mind as well, but I would also be like, okay, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to practice that. So I would like practice it, and then if I did it well, I'd be like, right, I'm going to do it another 3 times in a row to make sure I'm consistent with it. So that wasn't just a lucky thing. And then I'd be like, great, move on. So then so even with like when I'm filming my videos, I'll be like, yep, great, done that. Next, like, I know that wasn't perfect, but no, it's fine, move on. Like, I think it just helps to like, I'm not a perfectionist. I would just
Really?
work. No, I would just work to the point of it being as good as I can possibly make it. And if I decide that in the moment that that's good enough, then that's fine. I'll move on. But I'm not. I wouldn't say I always strive for perfection. I just strive for it to be really good.
Oh, that's good, because often it's like a stereotype, like only the best are perfectionists, and like, I mean, it's point proven. Not only the best, I mean, not on the, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Point
I
proven
mean,
to be anything. It's not like this,
yeah,
like.
I mean, I think it's, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to look at myself or look at, me dancing or anything, even at Vaganova, and think like, oh, that's absolutely perfect. Like, I look back at videos now, I'm like, oh.
Oh my God.
But I'm just like, that's that's good. Like, I know it's good. I know it's good enough. Like, and so it's like, I know it's good, but I don't think anything's ever going to be perfect. So I've learned to almost like be really kind to myself and be like that's really good. Like, looking at my younger self, that's really good. And looking at my older self, like, that's really good what you're doing. Like, but nothing is ever going to be, that is so perfect. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
like do it until it's perfect, perfect, perfect. That, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope
It's,
a lot of people take stuff from that. And Isabella, the last question for the little
oh
Q&A.
gosh, yes.
I know, it flies by. Time flies when you're having fun.
Uh,
What advice would you give your youngest? I think this is such a typical one, but it is interesting. What advice would you give your younger self?
oh gosh. I say oh gosh a lot. I've said that loads.
Like,
Oh, oh golly gosh.
you are British.
Yeah, I know. I really play up to it. I'm joking. Um, my younger self. Oh, I almost said it again. It's difficult because I would say I needed to calm down when I was younger. I always had issues with like self-doubt and feeling quite anxious a lot because again, I just wanted to be really good. I just wanted to make it. I just wanted to be the best I possibly could. And so, and that sort of feeling within me is what made me, in a positive way, is what made me get really good, because I constantly thought I wasn't good enough. So, however, that also held me back in some ways, because there does come a point sometimes where you have to be like, I've worked hard for this, like I know I'm good enough, this is what I deserve. And occasionally I had that when I was like doing the exams and everything. I'd worked up to it, like I'd built up that sort of mentality, so that's when it, you know, did well. But there were many scenarios where I let self-doubt get in my mind, and there was a bit of imposter syndrome going on. But you know, I realize now, and if I was chatting to my younger self, I would say, look, these opportunities where you're experiencing this self-doubt and this awful feeling of you're not worthy of this moment in time, this is the moment that like has been given to you by the universe to help you grow into the person you want to become, into the dancer you want to become. Like all these moments where you're uncomfortable is where you're going to grow the most, and is where you're going to get better. So it's like, use this moment of, if you're always comfortable, you're never going to get better, you're never going to grow. So it's like, I would say to my younger self, you know, get used to these times of being super uncomfortable, get used to these times of feeling almost inadequate, like almost enjoy the feeling of like, God, I'm scared, God, I'm not used to this, God, this is difficult, and like use it to your advantage and say, right, this is amazing because I know I'm going to grow from this, I know I'm going to get better, and this is the point where I go up a level because I'm feeling really uncomfortable. And if I could have changed the perspective on that as a younger person, that would have made a huge difference to me at the time. And so that would be a big thing that I would say to my younger self.
Oh, that's nice. So I just forgot that I was on Instagram Live for a moment. I was just like watching you, like, wow, because it's inspiring, you know, because you say what you say to your younger self, and it's what you would say to people. Like, you know, now people will take that on, and that's advice that they would almost give themselves now. You know, it doesn't.
Well, of course. Like I want everyone, hopefully people are watching. But but yeah, I hope people like can take that away. I mean, that's why, you know, you're doing this. That's why we're here today. We're here to help people. That's why you're doing what you're doing with your amazing classes. And
what
that's
you are doing.
Yeah,
Like what?
it's what I'm trying to do. It's to pass on what I had hoped that I could have had when I was younger, but at the time couldn't. So, you know, you deal with it all yourself, but it's almost a cathartic process for me, sharing with others what I learned, because it's sort of like, it's almost like, this is going to sound so strange, it's almost like I'm reliving my whole experience, my whole training through all these students, be them adults, be them younger students, you know, it doesn't matter what their age is. I'm literally reliving everything. That's why I have so much passion for what I'm doing now, because I can literally see myself within every single student, and see them sort of coming out of their shell, because I'm passing on what I didn't have. And so it's like, yeah, that's something that massively drives me, you know. And that's like,
And you needed when you were younger.
yeah, exactly. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah, good. Well, keep going. Thank you so much, Isabella, for joining. Everyone, go
Thanks.
to Isabella's website and her pages and her podcasts and YouTube channels, etc., etc.
Yes, I thought you were going to list everything. You can't say
Oh,
etc.
I did in the beginning. Then let's rewind. Watch it again.
I'm joking.
Thanks so much, Isabella. I really appreciate it, and I really hope everyone benefited from it, because I know I'm definitely inspired. After that, I would jump up into a pointe shoe right now if
you could.
I'm definitely not going to go watch TV.
No, don't watch television. No, watch the live again. Watch the live
yes.
again.
Thanks, Isabella. Have a lovely day.
You're welcome. Love you lots,
Thank
Olivia.
you. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.